They said Black Americans have no culture. What on earth are they thinking? How could anyone say something so ignorant, as if they have no understanding of what culture means? You ever hear something and it just sit with you? Not because it's true, but because it's so wrong. It almost doesn't make any sense. Yeah, that's how I felt. When I heard people say, and I mean confidently say, that Black Americans don't have culture. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. That didn't offend me at first. It made me pause. Because statements like that, they don't come from truth. They come from distance, from misunderstanding, and I might even say envy, from history being told halfway. And sometimes, let's just be real, from straight up ignorance. Because if you slow down and really look, Black American culture isn't missing. It's everywhere. Let's talk about what culture really is. Culture is not just costumes and holidays, it's how people speak, how they move, what they eat, what they believe. It's what they create when they have everything, and what they create when they have nothing. It's how they survive. And baby, that is one thing that Black Americans have had to do: survive. So when someone says Black Americans don't have culture, what they're really saying is, I don't recognize it. And maybe that is because it is everywhere you look. And just because something isn't familiar to you doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Now let's start somewhere undeniable. Music. Because before there were trends, before there were charts, before there were global sounds, there were voices. Voices in the fields, voices in the churches, voices in the struggle. And out of that came blues, jazz, gospel, R&B, hip-hop, even rock and roll. Not just music, but emotion turned into sound, pain turned into rhythm, faith turned into harmony, struggle turned into expression. And now, the whole world listens. People who don't even speak the same language still feel the beat. They rap, they dance, they dress the part in cultures that were born right here. But somehow, the origin gets questioned. It sure does. The world doesn't want to give Black Americans credit. Let's bring it closer to home. Food. Because food will tell you a story if you let it. Soul food didn't come from luxury. It came from survival, from scraps, from leftovers, from what nobody else wanted. And somehow, those same hands turned it into something rich, something flavorful, something meaningful. Fried chicken, collard greens, cornbread, mac and cheese. But more than that, Sunday dinners, cookouts, holiday tables filled with laughter, prayer, and stories. That's not just food, that's memory, that's legacy, that's culture. And then there's language. Because let's be honest, a lot of people love how we talk until it's us talking. Words that started in Black communities have traveled the world. Woke, slay. It's giving, period. And suddenly, everybody's using them. But when it comes from us, it gets labeled as too much or unprofessional. But the truth is, AAVE is structured. It's intentional, it's cultural. That's not imitation, that's innovation. Now let's talk about presence. Because Black culture doesn't whisper. It shows up in the way we wear our hair, braids, locks, afros, in the way we dress, from streetwear to luxury influence, in the way we carry ourselves, even when it wasn't accepted, even when it was criticized, we still created. We didn't wait to be approved. We just showed up as ourselves for ourselves. But culture isn't just what shines. It's also what survives. Black American culture was built through things most people couldn't endure: slavery, segregation, systemic barriers, Jim Crow, redlining, and still, there were leaders, there were movements, there was change, from Harriet Tubman to Martin Luther King Jr. to Malcolm X to movements we see today. That's not just history, that's identity. And then there's something people really don't talk about enough: invention. Because while culture was being created, so was innovation. Things people use every single day: traffic lights, home security systems, refrigerated transportation, blood banks, built by Black minds. But many of those names were never highlighted, and even worse, inventions and patents stolen. People taking credit for our hard work, creativity, and ingenuity. Some couldn't even claim their own work and had to watch others steal their inventions in their faces. So when people say we don't have culture, they're overlooking contribution, they're overlooking legacy, they're overlooking impact. And at the center of all of it is community. Big Mama's house, cousins that aren't really cousins, people showing up for each other when nobody else would. Even in struggle, there was structure. Even in hardship, there was connection. That's culture. So when you hear someone say, Black Americans don't have culture, just understand, they're not describing reality. They're revealing a perspective that just isn't true. Because the truth is, Black American culture has shaped the world, influenced generations, turned pain into power, and continues to evolve every single day. And that's not absence. That's presence. That's not lack. That's legacy. That's not just culture. That's power. And if this made you think a little deeper or see things a little differently, go ahead and share this. Because Black Americans have always and will always have culture. I would even say we are the culture. So don't let anyone from this day forth tell you Black Americans don't have culture, because we do, and it is a powerful culture. And on that note, be blessed and keep enjoying your beautiful Black American culture.